I'm Apostolos Gouginis. I'm a partner at Sherman & Sterling, an international law firm. It gives me a real pleasure to be here today in this distinguished panel. Mr. John Calamos, founder, chairman, and global chief investment officer of a global investment firm, Calamos Investments. Mr. John Koudounis, the CEO of Calamos Investments. And Pavlos Kanelopoulos, and Mr. Matt Fairfield, the CEO of a major insurance company. The purpose of the panel is to talk about the changing environment for investment in Greece. I think it has become obvious in the course of today that, and rather a truism, that Greece is in desperate need of investment. Counting through the panels, we talked about debt and equity investments in the corporate sector. The financial institutions are selling their NPLs. They need investors in the NPL portfolios. They need investors in the restructuring effort. They need investors in their own balance sheet to repay ELA and grow the liability side of the balance sheet. The government is in the market for investments, infrastructure, real estate, other assets. I think it's fair to say that Greece Incorporated is out there in the global financial system seeking to rebuild its balance sheet, attract direct investment, attract equity, debt investment in all shapes and sizes. Today, in this panel, we are going to talk about the perspective of the international investor. I think the first question will be probably common to all of the panelists. The competition for investment is global. Any major investment firm, fund, private equity fund, is looking at the global financial system, and any recipient of investment competes with the 50 US states and approximately 195 countries in the world to attract investments. It's a global capital and financial market, and certainly investors looking for yield, looking for opportunities, are assessing the attractiveness of each jurisdiction against the global market. So without further, perhaps I would turn to Mr. Calamos with his vast experience in assessing and identifying opportunities, and I'd like to ask him, from your perspective, how you feel about Greece as an investment destination. Has anything changed? What are the advantages and the disadvantages? What is the climate today? How do we move from here?
Well, I think it's very important. I think really following up with Dean's talk as well, what do we know about investments? Capital goes to where it's treated best. What do we know about human capital? It goes to where it's treated best. When we talk here, we learn that there's a brain drain. Why are they leaving? In America, when the Greeks have come to America, what we call it is living the American dream. They're able to take their ideas and translate them into opportunities and new ideas. And what we're hopeful here is that Greece is realizing that and will allow that to happen in the future. It's important that if somebody has a good idea, that they can execute that, they can start a business, they can make it grow, and that will help everybody here. So we're hopeful that's happening, and what we hope with this opportunity that we have here, that we can provide new solutions for families and obviously help them grow the investment opportunities there. So we're excited about that.
Thank you very much. Mr. Koudounis, if I were to be a little more specific about the investment climate today and the timing of your potential entry into the Greek market. Is it the specific opportunity that attracted you to Greece? Is it a change of the climate based on all the efforts of policymakers and the general population over the last several years? Is it a combination of that? As you assess your investment opportunities, what particularly attracted you at this point in time to Greece?
Well, it's no secret that my friends here and I have been coming to Greece for several years now, looking and assessing the opportunities that may or may not be available for global investors such as ourselves. As the entire world changes, as most countries get more regulated, as spreads continue to tighten, as interest rates are down or negative in some countries, it gets a lot more difficult to get the returns around the world. So we're constantly looking for opportunities. Now you ask why Greece, why now? I think it's important to see that one of the things that we look at as long-term investors is stability. More importantly, confidence. So the fact that there actually has been a little bit of stability in Greece has given us a little bit more confidence to look in. And what I'm saying is we're starting to see some changes. We feel that it is absolutely, if not the bottom of the market, close to it. And there has been some movement in terms of some of the projects and some of the sales that have happened around the country. So as we look at this, and let's not make a mistake here, we are looking at the actual assets that we're acquiring, and we're looking at them, can they make money on a standalone, and the backdrop being the sovereign risk of the country. So as we look at targets, if they can make money in a standalone, if we can bring some expertise in terms of management and Western-style views is what we're seeing, and put it into a model that we're building to increase the yields, when the country starts to turn around, our returns should get even exponentially greater. So we feel that we've seen these signs. We've started dipping our toe several months ago, and now we're taking a bigger jump. So it's a little bit of everything that you mentioned, I think.
Thank you very much. Matt, you are a well-known executive in the financial and insurance sector, probably a little bit of an outsider to the Greek economy, but from your perspective, and you having worked also in other countries in Southern Europe, from your perspective, how do you assess the investment climate in Greece? What are the main issues that you think should be resolved? What are the opportunities, and what would you have to what would you have to say to policymakers in this country to make this a more attractive investment destination?
That's a big question. Thank you. There we go. That's my first start. Turn the microphone on. First of all, that's very kind of what you said about me. I never forget what I do is sell insurance. So we focus on where we can bring merit, and I say it that way because as we consider opportunities, we do focus on fundamentals. And as John said, or both John said, there's stability that's necessary. Capital and human capital both need to feel welcome. And in commenting on that, I have to say, especially over the last year, we've been able to engage with a very positive dialogue with the existing government right now. They've been very practical, in our opinion. They are trying to move things forward. Mr. Petroulis just spoke before. I have to say that there's some great leadership standing up and making outside investment feel like there's an opportunity to get a fair return for the risk we're going to take. When you think about, and commenting on what he just said, I despite my accent, live in Barcelona. I've lived in Europe for 26 years now. My wife and my kids are Dutch, and I've got a big mixture in the house. So despite my accent, I am been in Europe for quite some time. And post-crisis in Spain, I saw, as you guys have seen here, the cranes not moving for days and years and waiting to see what was going to happen and get a change. And then finally we started to see some green shoots. I see the same thing right now in Greece. I see from some of the attitudes of people, some of the behaviors, and just in interactions we have in different negotiations or different work streams, we've seen people willing and enthusiastic to move forward. And seeing that in the public and private partnership, that gives me encouragement that there's some great things ahead.
Thank you very much. Mr. Kanelopoulos, for you, more or less the same question around the investment climate and the shift in the macro environment and the attitudes for that, but for you more from the perspective of the domestic executive looking for opportunities to grow the business, to get financing, to reconnect with the global investment community after years of some detachment that the country has suffered. So what are your thoughts?
So being the Greek ingredient in this group, I will switch to Greek, if you don't mind.
Thank you.
Θα έλεγα ότι η προσωπική μου εμπειρία είναι ότι το κλίμα έχει αλλάξει και είναι θετικό. Βλέπουμε ότι υπάρχουν πολλές κουβέντες και συζητήσεις για καινούργιες επενδύσεις. Και άρα η Ελλάδα έχει μπει στο μικροσκόπιο των ξένων επενδυτών, μάλιστα σε διαφορετικούς τομείς, το οποίο είναι πολύ σημαντικό. Θεωρώ ότι αυτό δεν σημαίνει ότι δεν υπάρχει ακόμα προβληματισμός ή επιφυλακτικότητα, διότι υπάρχουν τα γνωστά προβλήματα που ακόμα δεν έχουν λυθεί, όπως η αξιολόγηση, οι ελληνικές παθογένειες που έχουν να κάνουν, για παράδειγμα, με την γραφειοκρατία, με την ταχύτερη απονομή δικαιοσύνης, το ένα σταθερό φορολογικό πλαίσιο και πολλά άλλα. Άρα θα έλεγα ότι αυτή τη στιγμή ένα από τα σημαντικά πράγματα είναι ότι θα πρέπει να διορθώσουμε, να βελτιώσουμε αυτό το κομμάτι και αυτά τα κακό κείμενα που υπάρχουν στην ελληνική οικονομία και αγορά. Από εκεί και πέρα όμως νομίζω ότι αυτό που προσπαθήσαμε εμείς και γι' αυτό και είχαμε αυτές τις κουβέντες και έχουμε κάνει αυτή τη συνεργασία με την Exim, είναι να προβάλλει κανένας τα θετικά στοιχεία της Ελλάδος. Και από τη μία πλευρά είναι να γνωρίζεις το αντικείμενό σου, να υπάρχει επαγγελματισμός, να υπάρχει συνέπεια και συνέχεια, από τη μία πλευρά, και από την άλλη ότι είμαστε μια ωραία χώρα με καλό κλίμα, εργατικούς και φιλόξενους ανθρώπους και με μια καλή ποιότητα ζωής, έστω και μέσα μετά από 7-8 χρόνια κρίσης. Από εκεί και πέρα νομίζω ότι είναι πολύ σημαντικό να βάλει κανένας στην εικόνα το θέμα, να προβάλλει κανείς την Ελλάδα ως ασφαλές λιμάνι. Βρισκόμαστε σε μια εποχή που βλέπουμε γύρω μας τι γίνεται γεωπολιτικά, ότι όλα είναι πολύ ρευστά, βλέπουμε τι γίνεται στη γειτονιά μας. Άρα νομίζω ότι ο κόσμος αποζητά και οι επενδυτές αποζητούν ένα περιβάλλον ασφαλές και νομίζω είναι κάτι που θα πρέπει να προβάλλουμε και να προσπαθήσουμε να επιτύχουμε μέσα στο επόμενο διάστημα ακόμα περισσότερο. Γιατί είναι κάτι που είναι πολύ σημαντικό. Από εκεί και πέρα είναι και ο ανθρώπινος παράγοντας, η ικανότητα του Έλληνα στο επιχειρήν. Έχουμε πλάι μας μερικά φωτεινά παραδείγματα, τον κύριο Calamos, τον κύριο Koudounis, ο κύριος Μητρόπουλος που μίλησε πιο νωρίς, οι οποίοι είναι πρώτη και δεύτερη γενιά Ελλήνων που βρίσκονται στο εξωτερικό και άρα νομίζω ότι ενώνοντας τις δυνάμεις, προσπαθώντας να βάλουμε κάποια πράγματα σε τάξη, αυτό που θα είναι πολύ σημαντικό είναι να μπορέσουμε να δημιουργήσουμε τις κατάλληλες συνθήκες για επενδύσεις από το εξωτερικό και επίσης να μπορέσουμε να σταματήσουμε αυτό το brain drain που γίνεται στην Ελλάδα και το οποίο θα βοηθήσει τους Έλληνες, τους νέους ανθρώπους που έχουμε πάρα πολλούς ικανούς ανθρώπους να μείνουν στην Ελλάδα και να βοηθήσουν στην αναδιοργάνωση και ανάπτυξη της ελληνικής οικονομίας.
Thank you very much. Mr. Calamos, a very candid question to you. I think a lot of us in Greece and a lot of experts internationally, I think, have always wondered in the last few years to what extent the Greek diaspora, including the prominent Greek-American community, would be willing or has examined the possibility of making investments in Greece. Obviously, you are a fine example of somebody who has put in the effort and to examine and assess these opportunities. Do you feel that this can create a momentum for others to follow? And what needs to happen for that to not be a one-off, but pave the way for followers?
Well, I think it could. I think, as I mentioned earlier, it could be a catalyst for that. I think there has to be, obviously, continuation with decreasing the regulations so businesses can succeed. So they have to see that trend continue going forward. And I think you'll find that more investors will continue to look at the opportunities here. So I think that's very important that that happens, and because part of what's going to make the economy grow is to really increase that private sector and to bring investors in here to be able to do that. So I think hopefully we would be a catalyst for that, and we'll see those trends. I think you'll find other investors coming into Greece.
Thank you. Mr. Koudounis, I think the prospective investment that is being discussed or implied is in the financial and insurance sector in particular, and it's obviously a very big investment. What particular advantages in the sector you identified in considering that opportunity?
Well, I think you're speaking about something that we're currently in progress of working on, and that's ethniki asfalistiki. But I think you need to remember that in December we became partners with Pablo in AIG Greece, and so we are in the sector already. We're in the sector here in Greece, and that is the financial sector. And there's a tremendous amount of synergies in insurance and investment management. And so that is one of the reasons why we are looking at this particular asset.
Thank you. Matt, my next question to you is in relation to the perspective of other international executives and the investment opportunities in Greece. In the last few years, as I also practice law in an international environment and speaking to lots of investors and CEOs and investment bankers, there has always been a certain level of distrust over Greece as an investment destination. Sadly, for better or for worse, the reputation and the brand of the country for international investment has suffered. Do you feel that this is changing? Do you feel that we are finally turning a new page where the values of the country and the virtues of the country as an investment destination are being appreciated again?
I would connect a few of the questions and comments together. You know, it's not one big step. It's a lot of little steps to get to the big step. So this step forward is a great first step. But echoing what John just said, this is a possibility to be a bridge to new capital investment coming in, and it's going to be into the execution of, I know what we're working on and what others will come and do as well. They have to feel there's a fair chance to come apply their trade, to invest in the economy, to work closely with people in this economy and expand the economy, not just here, but super regionally. So the opportunity absolutely is there. There has to be mutual engagement, as Dean said before, what Mr. Clinton said, which was, we need to roll out the red carpet here, not full of red tape. And there should be a balance, of course, to laissez-faire capitalism versus having correct regulation, without a doubt. But we have to ensure people have a fair opportunity to engage in processes transparently, be treated fairly, and then when they go to build the business, to work closely with government and the private sector to take it forward. And those examples happen, and I think you see an extraordinary opportunity for a lot of people looking to invest in Greece.
Thank you very much. Mr. Kanelopoulos, from your perspective, being active in the Greek market, being active in the Greek insurance and financial market for a long period of time, surely you have identified areas of either deregulation or better regulation, better governance and better rulemaking that would be necessary to further grow your business. What would those areas be that you think are absolutely critical for further development of the sector and further growth in the sector?
Θα έλεγα ότι είναι διάφορα πράγματα. Είναι μια πολύ μεγάλη ερώτηση, δύσκολη. Θα έλεγα όμως ότι τα πιο σημαντικά θέματα, έτσι όπως μου έρχονται στο μυαλό, είναι διαφάνεια, είναι να υπάρχει, να γίνουν διάφορες νομοθετικές ρυθμίσεις, όπως ανέφερα και πιο πριν, είναι το θέμα της δικαιοσύνης και να μπορεί να προχωράνε τα πράγματα πολύ πιο γρήγορα, είναι ένα σταθερό φορολογικό πλαίσιο. Όλα αυτά νομίζω ότι είναι πολύ σημαντικά για τις επιχειρήσεις, μαζί βεβαίως με το θέμα της δανειοδότησης και των τραπεζών. Νομίζω ότι αν μπορεί κανένας να λύσει κάποια από αυτά τα θέματα, θα είναι πολύ πιο εύκολο για τους επιχειρηματίες να μπορέσουν να λειτουργήσουν, γιατί αυτή τη στιγμή το περιβάλλον είναι πολύ δύσκολο. Και επίσης με αυτόν τον τρόπο θα έχουν και ξένες επενδύσεις.
Thank you. For Mr. Calamos, the next question is trying to identify potentially if there is any difference between the perception and the reality. The perception being possibly that the legal system in Greece may be not efficient for international investors. The bureaucracy may be creating disincentives for international investment, the complexity of the tax system, a number of hurdles that relate directly or indirectly to the legal and judicial and government infrastructure, so to speak. Candidly, through your experience the last few years and months looking into these opportunities more closely, has that perception been met with reality? What has been your personal experience?
Well, we're seeing some changes to the positive. And remember, the high regulation, we have the same thing in the United States. Way too much regulations. We've had the worst growth rates over the last 8 years because of too much regulation. So hopefully people learn from that and let's unleash the investments and the productivity from people from less regulations in doing that. And we're seeing some of that happen here. As was spoken earlier, it's small steps. We hope that people look at those small steps, see the benefit, and they increase that going forward. We don't have any way to predict that, but we hope that we can help be a catalyst for that change going forward, and I think that will help get those GDP numbers where they were estimated to be in the future here.
Thank you. Mr. Koudounis, same question for you. Perception versus reality in sourcing and executing investments in Greece and the legal system.
Well, I think that legal system, being that you're Sherman Sterling, you've used your firm many times in the past. I think that's a very specific question, and yes, there is red tape in the legal system, but I think that maybe more pointed for this discussion is how does one, in general, get things done when all these things are obstacles? And we feel that a couple things. Number one, you have to be very measured. And there's a saying, you know, measure twice, cut once. And I think that we've taken our time to do that. Number two, it takes a village to get things done. And I think that we've reached out to a lot of people, and Matt alluded to this, and I have to say that we are very fortunate that there are really great people here in all aspects. And a lot of them are in this room. A lot of people have helped. A lot of people have, from parts of the government and agnostic parties, because both parties have been very helpful, to the ambassador here in the United States, to people back home in the United States, and even to the Greek church. And we've reached out to everything, and it seems like we needed to reach out to everybody in order to get some of our points across, and hopefully we'll be successful. But it takes perseverance, it takes patience, but it takes also confidence and the willingness to know that if you pierce through this, you will succeed. And I think that we've put together a great team of people that we know for a long time, that we trust, and that is, it's hard to measure exactly what that brings to the table, but we feel it's very, very strong. And you know, people have asked us months ago, what are your thoughts? And I said, well, I'm confident that we're going to put together something that we're all going to be proud of and be able to pierce through anything. And you know, and I'm glad that we're here, and I'm glad that we're going forward, and we're excited to do some great things and help other people do great things, not just economically, but for the country.
Thank you, Matt. The country is competing obviously with other European countries with similar development and growth profiles. Spain, Portugal are often viewed as competitors of Greece in the competition for global investment. From your experience in Spain and seeing the situation on the ground in Greece, are there any lessons we can learn from our Iberian competitors?
Picking up on a comment John just made, persistence. There's a phrase I like to use, and it's a quote, it's not mine, but persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. You gotta keep going and soldiering on. And I'll tell you, there were some very, very tough times in Spain, as there have been on our tough times here. But if you're persistent and you keep coming back every single day, doing the best you can, doing the right thing, you can incrementally change things. And after all those small steps, you get to the big step. So the most important thing is to be persistent, never, never give up. And I know there's times where I'm sure here, and I saw it in Spain, and I've seen it in a few other different economies, people want to give up. It's difficult. We have to work together. That's another thing I'd like to say. You know, there's some very intelligent people in this room. I'm lucky for the partners I get to sit on this die with. We can't do it ourselves. We can help. We can work very hard. We can bring ideas. We can help work with people, lead people, but we can't do it ourselves. We need to work with everybody in the country, and we need to have engagement from everybody to see that we're pulling together to build this. It's not any special magic wand we have, right? We're going to come here, we're going to work hard, and we're going to do the best we can. But we have to do it in partnership with the people in this room and the people in the country.
Thank you for that very nice message. Last but not least, Mr. Kanelopoulos, from the perspective of the local executive in an outward-looking company, what is your message to other CEOs of successful Greek businesses looking for opportunities to either partner up with foreign investors, attract investment, or enter into various types of ventures and cooperations? What is your message to other aspiring CEOs in our country?
Θα έλεγα ότι νομίζω ότι ανέφερα και προηγουμένως ότι είναι πολύ σημαντικό η συνέπεια και η συνέχεια. Ο επαγγελματισμός και επίσης να γνωρίζει κανένας καλά το αντικείμενό του. Μέσα από αυτό δημιουργεί ένα track record με το οποίο μπορεί να μιλήσει σε άλλη βάση, με επενδυτές, με άλλους ανθρώπους που θέλουν να κάνουν join, αρκεί να γνωρίζει καλά την αγορά σου. Από εκεί και πέρα είναι πολύ σημαντικό η διαφάνεια και βεβαίως να μπορείς να λειτουργήσεις και να μπορείς να παίρνεις αποφάσεις άμεσες και γρήγορες μέσα σε ένα δύσκολο επιχειρηματικό περιβάλλον όπως είναι η Ελλάδα. Αλλά από εκεί και πέρα νομίζω ότι ως Ελλάδα έχουμε πολλά καλά. Ανέφερα πριν το θέμα του ανθρώπινου παράγοντα. Νομίζω ότι υπάρχουν ικανότατοι άνθρωποι στην Ελλάδα. Άρα αν μπορείς κανένας να προβάλλει όλα αυτά τα πράγματα είναι ένα πολύ δυνατό σημείο για να μπορέσει να φέρει ξένους επενδυτές και ξένες επενδύσεις στην Ελλάδα.
Thank you very much. I think this probably concludes the panel session. I would only spend maybe 30 seconds summarizing what we've heard. I think in the public conscience of Greeks the last few years, especially at the beginning of the crisis, the initial view of the international investor was the view of the international bondholder attacking the Greek government bonds, and through that, leading the country into a liquidity and debt crisis. The very notion of attack marking a physical movement, threatening physical movement towards the country. Of course, in reality, it was anything but that. It was the panicking departure of those investors from the liabilities of the country, completely trying to get out as quickly as possible. And I think we've probably come full circle now, realizing that we need foreign investment across the board, the corporates, the financial institutions, the infrastructure, the government assets, the real estate, the financial system, and it seems to me that we have heard great messages today about the hard task of building this international confidence in recognition that we're not an island, we're not special, but we are competing with dozens and hundreds of other opportunities globally, and it is the trust of the investor community that this country needs to regain. Thank you, each and every one of you, for this